In the upper realm, one of the gods made a mistake and killed off our poor Joe by the name of Kelvin Celsius in an accident. To make up for this mess, the goddess of reincarnation offered Kelvin the ability to choose the skills he wanted to be reincarnated with. After that, he would lose all his previous memories and be sent to a fantasy world to live his new life. Kelvin wakes up under a tree and wonders where the heck he is, but before he can move around, a game-like window pops up in front of him. It reads, "Begin your adventure." He presses start to continue, and the window suddenly starts moving around and starts speaking. It tells him about his reincarnation and how to check his stats. He opens up his stats screen and finds out that he has chosen the skill set for a dedicated support-type player with S-rank summoning spells and XP boosting traits. After that, just like every other isekai reincarnation anime, the menu suggests that he might want to go and register with the Adventurers Guild in the nearby town. Happy with his skill set, he excitedly agrees and starts walking towards the Adventurers Guild. On his way, he talks to the menu screen and asks her if she would be following him as well. The menu tells him that she is actually the goddess of reincarnation called Melvin and tells him that the pre-reincarnated Kelvin had actually fallen in love with her and asked Malphina to be his servant in this life, and she accepted his request as a way to take a vacation from her job. So now he must take responsibility for her. He asks Malphina if he can summon her real body as well. She tells him that right now he doesn't have enough MP and he must train and grow stronger before he is able to summon her. She tells him that she would be looking forward to hearing him confess his love for her again when he is able to summon her real body. Kelvin thinks to himself that Malphina must be really hot for him to say all that to her in his previous life before the reincarnation. He then walks into the guild and registers as a basic green mage, which is one of the F-rank skills that he has. Malphina warns him that he should conceal his identity as a summoner because they are so rare that kingdoms would even wage wars to acquire his skills. The registrar at the guild takes his form and brings him his adventurer's pass. She introduces herself as Angie and then explains about different rankings in the guild. Kelvin is a beginner who is starting at the bottom at rank F. He can take missions up to 1 rank higher than his own, and after completing 10 missions, he will rank up. After rank C, he must take exams to rank up further. After hearing her explanation, Kelvin asks her if she has any suggestions for his first mission and offers him 3 missions. After consulting with Melvin, Kelvin chooses the one where he has to defeat 3 blue slimes. He then goes to a weapon shop and buys a basic magic wooden rod. After that, he heads to the fields to hunt down blue slimes. He soon finds a group of blue slimes and hides behind a bush. Malphina tells him to use his S-rank skill Appraising Eye to see the stats and skills of the slimes. With this skill, he can appraise creatures up to 100 levels above him and items up to S rank. He then asks Malphina how he can make a contract with the slimes as a summoner. She tells him that he would need their consent, but for weaker creatures, he can just play Pokemon by weakening them and catching them all. After hearing that, he jumps out of the brush and tries to ambush the slimes but gets outplayed like a noob and knocked down by a slime. He tries to auto-attack while standing still, but that works just as well as one might expect. But soon, he realizes that he must play smart if he wants to reach gold and manages to land a heavy hit by aiming for the moment when the slime will dodge his first attack. After lowering its HP, he extends his hand to form a contract with the slime. The slime agrees, and the contract drains half of Kelvin's MP. Despite all that, he succeeds in capturing his first Pokemon, slime, and names it Clotho. He then summons Clotho and makes the poor slime become a cannibal by fighting and eating its brethren. Not really, Clotho is a savage battle junkie himself who loves to fight and grow. Kelvin and Clotho go on to defeat 3 blue slimes to complete their first mission. Kelvin takes down 1 slime with the Wind Blade magic spell, and Clotho takes down 2 slimes with sheer speed and a hard tackle. Kelvin notices that Clotho is much stronger than he was before making the contract with him. Malphina tells him that this is due to his rare S-rank summoner skill, which adds 100 points to all the stats of his summons. She further reveals that currently, he is the only S-rank summoner in this world, and the others are rank B or C, which only adds up to 10 to 20 points to their summon stats. After completing his mission, he heads back to the town to claim his reward money and starts looking for an inn to dine and stay the night. On his way back, he comes across a slave trader with a few slave girls locked up in cages. Kelvin wonders that it would be a good way to level up by making a slave join his party and sharing XP with them. However, he doesn't think about it any further and walks off towards the Spirit Song Inn, recommended by Angie from the Adventurers Guild. At the end, he introduces himself to the owner of the inn, Claire, and enjoys his first real meal in this new world. He then books a room for the night and calls it a day. After this, Kelvin spent his days taking up missions from the guild and leveling up his stats. Due to his growth enhancement skills, he gathers up over 100 skill points in a short amount of time. He learns the concealment skill to hide his stats from prying eyes and plans to keep leveling this skill up to protect his identity. Clotho also learned new skills and even evolved into a gigantic Glutina slime. One day, after completing his mission, he reports back to the guild and is congratulated by Angie. She tells him that he has ranked up to become an E-rank adventurer, and now he can take up to D-rank missions. She then suggests him to get new gear for himself as he has been using the same beginner's staff that he got for his first mission. Kelvin has been doing his missions alone without joining a party and ranking up really fast for a beginner. This attracts lots of rumors and jealousy towards him from other adventurers in the guild. One such adventurer is Cashel, who is a D-rank adventurer said to be as strong as a B rank. He is said to be the strongest in the guild as well. Cashel approaches Kelvin and invites him to join his party to take down a Black Ghost Knight. Kelvin uses his appraising eye skill to find out that Cashel's title is murderer, and this disturbs him. He understands that this is a trap, but he feels confident in his abilities and so decides to walk into the trap. He instead challenges Cashel to see who defeats the Black Ghost Knight first. He then goes on to buy new gear and heads for the Black Ghost Knight's castle. He defeats all the undead soldiers alone and prepares some trap spells for Cashel and his group and waits. Soon, Cashel arrives with his party consisting of two guys named Gimel and Raj, both of whom have a bounty on their heads. He provokes them into revealing their original plan to kill Kelvin and then engages them in a battle. First, he entraps Raj into a concealed mud vine trap and then hits him with wind blades. Watching this, Gimel decides to escape and runs back. Kelvin summons Clotho to stop him from escaping. Clotho chases after Gimel and one-shots him with a tentacle slap. It then goes on to capture Raj and defeat him as well. Meanwhile, Cashel starts running towards Kelvin to fight him but gets his ass handed to him as well. After dealing with Cashel's group, Kelvin walks into the castle's main room to fight the Black Ghost Knight. Turns out the Black Ghost Knight is a pretty chill old dude who was once the captain of the Knight's Guard in his country. After his country fell, he had some grudges, which led him to become a monster after his death. Kelvin sits down with Gerard, the Black Ghost Knight, and they have a nice long chat. Kelvin uses his appraising eye on Gerard and finds out that he is a level 52 named Knight with a ton of high-rank skills and stats. He asks Gerard to form a contract with him and serve him as his summon. Gerard agrees to the terms on the condition that Kelvin proves his strength. After that, they both get up and engage in a fight. Kelvin uses many restrictive spells to pin Gerard down for Clotho to finish him, but Gerard is too strong and experienced as a fighter and easily manages to dodge and block all of their attacks and even counterattack them. They keep trading such blows until Gerard feels like he might lose, and this awakens his sleeping memories from his previous life. He remembers that an elf named Geldora was the one who destroyed his kingdom and led to his family's demise as well. He became a monster in order to take revenge on Geldora. He asks Kelvin if he will help him take his revenge and unleashes a strong slash attack. Kelvin responds to Gerard's request with respect and uses all his power to pin him down using air pressure and lets Clotho defeat Gerard with an energy beam attack. After that, Kelvin goes back to the guild and shows a fragment of Gerard's armor as proof of completing his mission and defeating the Black Ghost Knight. The guild offers him a gift of a special rank up because they deem this mission to be harder than a normal D-rank mission. With this, Kelvin has now become a D-rank adventurer. Meanwhile, Cashel and his party members were captured and thrown into a cell. The guard tells them to think about their deeds and to expect a death penalty. On the other hand, after finishing his business with Angie, Kelvin starts walking around the guild. We get to see that Gerard has now joined his side as one of his summons and is talking to him alongside Malfina and Clotho in Kelvin's mind while walking. Kelvin runs into Leo, who is the guild master of the Porth Adventurers Guild. Leo asks Kelvin if he's from another world and then uses his appraising eye to see Kelvin's stats. Kelvin realizes that Leo's appraising eye is higher rank than his concealment skill and he won't be able to hide his identity from him. Later, they both sit down in the guildmaster's office and have a discussion. Leo tells Kelvin that he has met others from other worlds before as well, like the heroes of Juramis. He says that the head priestess of the kingdom of Juramis has oracled that the demon king is about to be revived. In this case, he wishes to become friends with Kelvin, who is a high-ranked summoner from another world, like the previous heroes. He asks Kelvin to protect the town in his stead, and in return, he will help him rank up faster. Kelvin agrees and becomes friends with Leo. After that, he goes back to the inn. Claire congratulates him for getting promoted to a rank B adventurer and offers him lunch. He takes his sandwiches to his room and asks Malfina about the heroes of Duramis. She tells him that 1 year ago, she had reincarnated 4 people to become the heroes of the kingdom of Duramis. She had chosen them based on their good looks and knowledge. After hearing this, Kelvin summons Clotho, whom he has been using as a storage unit due to his gluttonous ability. He takes out his bag of money and heads out on his way. He tells Gerard that he is going to the slave market to buy one. He wants to add them to his party to reinforce his rear guard. When he reaches the slave market, he spots the young elf girl that he saw the other day. The slave owner explains that no one wants her because she is cursed and will set anyone who touches her on fire. Kelvin uses his appraising eye skill to confirm that she is cursed by the Fire Dragon King. Kelvin asks Malfina about the curse and how to break it. She tells him that there is only one way to do that, and that is to cast the high-ranked white magic Sacred Bless. After hearing this, Kelvin walks off to level up and get that skill. He uses all his remaining skill points to acquire rank A Sacred Bless and then returns to purchase the cursed elf. The elf reveals her name as Ethel, and Kelvin introduces himself to her as well. He then breaks her curse and tells her to join his party. Ethel thanks Kelvin and starts crying for breaking her curse and being kind to her. After that, they both walk back to the inn, and Claire takes Ethel in and dresses her up. Kelvin helps Ethel with allocating her skill points while also telling her to make her own choices so she can grow as an adventurer as well. Kelvin asks Claire for another room or a separate bed for Ethel, but she says that they don't have any rooms free, so Kelvin must share a bed with Ethel at night. Kelvin finds Ethel beautiful but can't sleep at all. Just like that, 1 month passes by, and Kelvin, with his growing party, now continues to rank up and grow stronger. Causes the ceiling to collapse over our channel. Victor rushes towards her and protects her by bodying a massive piece of broken ceiling. Victor falls on the ground and tells Kelvin that in reality, he is Sarah's only companion and teacher. When the previous Demon King was attacked, he sealed Sarah and put her in his care. Victor wanted to find humans who would be kind enough to be good to Sarah and strong enough to protect her. He then requests Kelvin to let Sarah join his party and make her see the outside world. Kelvin accepts his request and adds Sarah to his party. After Sarah wakes up, she realizes the situation and cries a lot for Victor. Kelvin takes her out and reports her as one of the victims of Victor's attack from their battle with Victor. Gerard evolves into an Abyssal Knight Commander, which is an S-rank monster. Meanwhile, Sarah feels afraid of her identity being revealed, but Kelvin ensures her that no one would be able to find out about her due to his rank S concealment skill. After that, they walk into the town, and Sierra enjoys traveling around and looking at all the shops for the first time in her life because she used to be a sheltered child. After their short escapade, Kelvin learns that he has been promoted to a rank A adventurer. The guild members hold a celebration party for him at the inn, and he finds out that Claire is married to Erd, a fellow adventurer from the guild. Sierra feels awkward in the crowd and thinks about Victor, but after reliving some memories, she feels motivated to make the most out of the life Victor gave her. The next day, Kelvin makes a new demonic sword for Gerard and a pair of gauntlets from Victor's armor for Syrah. After that, he feels tired and craves some rice, but Ethel doesn't know what that is, so they travel to the coastal city of Torad, where rice can be found in this world. On their way there, their cart is ambushed by a band of thieves called the Black Wind. Kelvin checks their stats and finds out that they are all around level 30. He then tells Sierra to go out and take care of them all as practice. Sarah easily defeats all the bandits and ties them up. The leader of the group tells them about their boss, who is level 70. This intrigues Kelvin, and he decides to make a leader meet the bandits' boss. After that, they reach the city of Torad, and Syrah looks at the ocean. She remembers her promise with Victor about him teaching her how to swim. Kelvin promises her that he will teach her, but first, they must head to the guild to turn in the bandits. At the Torad Adventurers Guild, they meet the guild master Mist. She used to be a party member with Leo back in her young days and has heard all about Kelvin from him. Kelvin shares the information about the boss of the Black Wind with her and tells her that he is the champion of Trisun, Christoph. Christoph was sent by Trisun to expand the slave trading business, but the guild doesn't have any solid proof against him. Kelvin feels the presence of the heroes of Duramis in the city and suggests that Mist request them to take care of Christoph. Acting on this suggestion, Mist asks the heroes to investigate and capture the slave traitors. The Braveheart knight hero Toya accepts the request. Meanwhile, Kelvin has plans of his own. He heads to the bandits' base and defeats Kristoff and all his lieutenants. After that, he sits in the boss room and pretends to be the main villain. The heroes' party arrives at the slave traders' base and rushes in to protect the slaves, but they find out that they have already been saved and Clotho was there. One of the heroes is a summoner and is able to communicate with Clotho, who tells her that he was left there to protect the slaves. After that, the slaves ask the heroes to go forward and help the adventurer who saved them. The heroes' party enters the boss room and finds Kristoff and his lieutenants on the ground. They mistake them for the adventurer who saved the slaves and think that Kelvin is the real enemy. Kelvin plays along and challenges the four heroes, Toya, Satsuna, Mizoka, and Miyabi, to a 1 versus 4 battle, and the loser will have to do whatever the winner says. While the heroes group up to discuss their plan, Kelvin reveals that he wanted the heroes' involvement so he could use their influence to justify Kristoff's capture. Gerard teases that in reality, he just wanted a reason to fight the heroes, and that's why he is playing the villain right now. Kelvin agrees and says that he wants to test his new equipment, Skill Eater, as well as test his limits without any teammates. After that, Kelvin and the heroes prepare for their battle. The heroes' party casts enhancement spells to boost their stats, revealing their elements as fire, water, wind, and darkness. Toya charges towards Kelvin, but Kelvin shoots a couple of Radiance lances towards him and Satsuna. After that, Kelvin rushes in towards Mizoka to attack her, but she reveals a baby dragon hiding inside her backpack and shoots a flame breath towards him. Kelvin uses Sonic Accelerate to swiftly dodge her attack. Kelvin uses this momentum to ambush Miyabi and uses his Skill Eater to copy her unique skill, Parallel Thinking. He can store up to 1 skill at a time in each of his Skill Eater gloves. Toya rushes in and engages with Kelvin one-on-one, while the rest of them focus on healing Miyabi. Even though Toya is a high-ranked swordsman, Kelvin overwhelms him with his rank S martial arts that he copied from Sira. Satsuna rushes to help Toya, but Kelvin jumps back and casts Adamantite from part to enact a gigantic earth wall. Satsuna uses her unique skill to cut it down, but Kelvin has already prepared a strong fireball spell and launches it towards her. Toya rushes in to block it and protects Satsuna. After that, he gets frustrated over his weakness and says that he must defeat Kelvin or else he won't be able to defeat the Demon King. Seeing him take all the responsibility over himself all alone, Satsuna slaps Toya and gives him the anime protagonist lecture about teamwork and relying on others. After that, Toya agrees and apologizes for his selfish actions, and they resume their fight with Kelvin as a team. They use light fairy magic to blind Kelvin and then freeze the ground to keep him from moving. The Obi further enhances the trap by using gravity magic to pin him down. Satsuna and Toya use this chance to charge towards him and attack, but Kelvin uses Cleft Detonation and knocks them all away. After that, he uses Blind Cure to restore his vision and commends them on their teamwork. He then starts lecturing them about their lack of combos and battle knowledge and gives them tips for better combat tactics. All of them feel taunted and start fighting him more seriously. Toya reveals his dual wielding and charges towards Kelvin while the casters use enhancing spells on Toya and debuffs on Kelvin while supporting Toya with attack spells. Mizoka uses her strongest spell, Frozen Temple, to strangle Kelvin, while Miyabi summons her strongest monster to finish the job. Kelvin summons Earth Golems and asks them to buy him 30 seconds and uses the Parallel Mind skill that he borrowed from Miyabi to create a new spell. The Abbey warns her friends about the new skill, and Satsuna jumps in to defeat Kelvin. But Kelvin uses his new spell to free himself and knock Satsuna down with a fast punch to her stomach. He then defeats Miyabi and her summon and knocks Mizoka and her dragon down as well. Watching his friends fall, Toya becomes angry and unleashes a mindless barrage of slashes towards Kelvin like a noob. But Kelvin shows him who's the boss and knocks him out with a single uppercut. Toya opens his eyes and finds out that Kelvin was the adventurer who saved the slaves all along. He then calls Kelvin his master because he helped them train. Kelvin reminds them about their challenge and tells them all to strip naked as punishment. After that, Kelvin takes the heroes to a sea cave to fight an octopus-like monster. The heroes' party has a difficult time defeating it, and this makes them realize that they must work harder and grow stronger if they want to have a chance at defeating the Demon King. He then goes on to defeat the S-rank boss monster of the sea cave. After that, they say their goodbyes to Kelvin and sail away for the western continent. While seeing them off, Kelvin asks Gerard about the Lysia Empire of elves that destroyed his country. He then asks if they picked a fight against them right now, would they be able to win? Gerard feels grateful that Kelvin remembered. Gerard says that at first, he had no hope, but now they have grown much stronger, and they might actually have a chance. Kelvin says that they would do it, but first, let's defeat more strong monsters on this continent and grow even stronger. And Gerard agrees. Just then, Sarah interrupts and says that they are being summoned by the Queen of Torak. Kelvin and the party arrive at the castle and notice that it looks like a Japanese castle. Gerard mentions that the first king of Torad was another worlder, and that explains this influence. Kelvin enters the castle with his party and notices Japanese-inspired infrastructure and the attire of the queen. The queen thanks him for defeating the boss of the sea cave as well as for dealing with Christoph and the Black Mist. She then asks him what kind of reward he wants, and Kelvin just asks for rice. The queen is amused by this and promises to reward him with rice. However, after that, she asks him to assist with something else. The queen tells them that the merchant kingdom of Venti has been preparing a large-scale war against them, and they need Kelvin and his party to investigate this situation. Although the quest is dangerous, Kelvin accepts the task since he doesn't want to stay idle for long. While leaving the castle, Gerard is happy for his new title, a Knight Commander of Torad, and the group heads off to investigate. They travel by ship to the kingdom of Venti.